how to make a 3D billboard in Blender. The first step is going to be we're going to have to make a can, then we're going to have to texture that can, then we have to build our scene in Blender, and finally we have to render everything out in a way that allows us to display it on an anamorphic screen. This might sound hard, but believe me, it's actually pretty easy. Now let's quit wasting time with an intro, let's start the video. Okay, step number 1, we're going to make the cannon. I'm going to speedrun this, so you better pay attention, make sure you keep up. Okay, delete the default cube, shift A mesh, we're going to add a cylinder. Cut that fucker in half by adding a loop cut in the middle and deleting the bottom. Then we're going to go to add modifier, generate, we're going to add a mirror modifier. And we want that mirror modifier on the Z-axis so that whatever we do on top also gets done on the bottom at the same time. Then we lift this up a little bit, we're going to bevel it with Control B, we're going to push this up a little bit further. Then extrude one more time, then extrude another time. Take this part up here, Alt E, extrude faces along normals just to push that out a little bit. Take the top and you're going to extrude that downwards a little bit. And now we have a super basic can shape. Now if you want to, you can play around with the details by adding some bevels here. I'm going to add a couple of bevels around here on the sharp edges at the top. So I'm going to do Control B, 2 segments, profile shape 1. That's just to contain my smooth shading when I go object shade smooth. By the way, let me throw this in there. This is a little high IQ trick. I want to make this bevel more narrow, but let's just say I can't undo it. So I'll place my 3D cursor up here, set the pivot point to 3D cursor. Up here I'm going to activate this thing, whatever you call it, split edges and faces up here in this little menu. Then take this vertex, extrude, scale it up to the same thing down here from the bottom, extrude, scale it up until we get an intersection here. Then we cut off the extra vertices here, select this one, place the 3D cursor there. Now you can delete that vertex, select this and scale it down to whatever size you want for your bevel. So let's say this. Delete everything else involved in that bevel except this little piece. Place your cursor in the middle, select this geometry up here, go to top view, Alt E, spin, steps 32, and there you go. Now we reduce the size of this bevel. Now at the top we're going to need a hole, but we don't want the hole at the bottom, so apply the mirror modifier. Up here we're going to go shift A mesh, add a cube, we're going to scale that down, we're going to take the outer edges like this and bevel them. Well, maybe we want to make it a little bit wider first, and then we're going to bevel the edges. That's going to be the hole that the liquid comes out of. Okay, we're going to use that with a Boolean modifier. So we're going to cut a hole up here using this little object. So select the can, add modifier, generate Boolean difference. You're going to target this little object, apply the Boolean modifier with Control A, delete this. You can also delete this face at the bottom and lift this up. And now, you know, when you open the can, you still have that little metal lid, but it's inside. So we're going to duplicate this with Shift D, fill it with F, place the cursor back here, and then we're just going to rotate it a little bit like this so we still have something there. And then of course at the top we're going to need that thing which you used to open up the can. So let's make that real quick. Shift A mesh, we're going to add a circle, scale that circle down, push it backwards a little bit. Then in edit mode you're going to duplicate that circle and push it further backwards and scale it up a little bit. Then from top view we're going to delete the top half of the smaller circle and the lower half of the bigger circle. Then we're going to connect these vertices to make them one whole shape. And wait a second, let's undo that because first we need some inner circles. So over here, Shift A, we're going to add one circle and then another circle back here. These are going to be the holes which you need on this little object. Now to fill that in, we're going to select one half of this circle and the other part out here in edge select mode, W bridge edge loops. Same thing over here on this side. So select the geometry, W bridge edge loops, fill this here. I guess we can just have a big end gone on the inside, who cares? There you go, that's bad topology, but who gives a fuck? We're going to extrude this up a little bit, and then to make it a little more realistic, let's also set it at an angle using our 3D cursor. So it's going to be something like this, and I also think there's supposed to be a circle of some sort down here in the middle, so let's just do that. Also at the bottom the cans usually look a little bit different, so just make sure you get that right. I think it's going to be something like this. We're going to extrude it up a little bit, scale it down, bevel this part, bevel the outer part as well. By the way guys, you never know when Blender's going to crash on you, so make sure you save your file before you continue. And now here we go, step number 2, making the texture. I tried to get ChatGPT to do it for me, but we had a little bit of a disagreement. He couldn't make it happen. Then I tried to use the Canva AI thing, which usually works pretty well for making labels, but this time he just gave me pictures of cans, so that didn't work out either. So then I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna make my own design. I went to Canva, I made my own design from scratch. Don't ask me what I'm doing, I'm just putting together the first thing that comes to my mind, and I came up with this little design right here. Of course, if someone's paying you to do this shit, they're gonna give you their logo and their labels. Anyway, once we finish our texture, we download it, we got it on our computer, and then we go back into Blender where we're going to apply it. So first we switch over to the shading tab. Up here we're going to add a new material. This is where we're going to load in our texture. Then you just drag and drop your image into this area here. You plug that into base color, and now we just have to UV map this properly. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to mark a seam up here at the top and at the bottom. So just select these edge segments, Alt E, not Alt E, but Control E. You're going to click on mark seam, and then you're going to take a vertical edge loop like this from top to bottom, Control E, mark seam. This area here is where we want our label. So I'm actually also going to select these edge loops here just in the inside of these bevels, Control E, mark seam. This surface here I'm going to place on top of the label. So I'm going to press U, unwrap. In my UV editor down here, I'm going to rotate that by 90 degrees. I'm going to place it over my image, scale it up, scale it down, do whatever I got to do. And well, we did that wrong because we also want this texture to continue up to the top, but maybe we can just kind of cheat our way through. So maybe we just select this part up here, U, unwrap, angle based. That's not going to work either. Let's do this instead. Clear all the seams, select this edge up here at the top just below the last bevel. You're going to tear that with a V. Same thing down here at the bottom. We're going to tear this with a V. Then select one face somewhere near the bottom. We're going to press U and click on reset. That turns it into a little square. Then with L, we select this entire surface here. We want to have one seam somewhere before we continue, so something like this will do. So we press L here. We need to make sure that this little face is the active element, so the one that we already unwrapped has to be the last one selected. And then we press U to unwrap, and we click on follow active quads. Okay, and then we just set the pivot point to 2D cursor. We scale this down towards the middle like this. We rotate it a little bit. As you can see now, it's not distorted or bent. Now it's just a straight shape, and then we place that whatever way we like it. If you don't want this thing to repeat when it crosses the border, you change this here from repeat to extend, and then the colors from the edges are going to continue past the border, so it's still going to look pretty nice with no repetitions. And here we go, something like this will do. Of course, we have to make this metallic and we have to reduce the roughness. Maybe you want it to be a little bit more matte, so maybe you don't want to make it metallic. That's up to you. And we're going to invert the selection with Control I, because there we're going to add another material, assign that there, and you can make this whatever you want. I'm going to pick a color which is similar to the one on the body, so I'm going to go to base color, use my eyedropper to target this color here, maybe make that a little bit lighter and a little bit more shiny. So I want something like this. Of course, this thing here should be joined into the object below, and it's also supposed to have the same material, so we're going to assign that there. And there we go. Now we have one beautiful can. It's modeled and it's textured. The next step is going to be building our scene, so let's do that next. By the way, guys, if you want to learn a little bit more about the tools and techniques which you see me using in this video, I made a Blender course. It's called the Blender Masterclass course. It's designed to bring beginners up to speed. So in this course, I teach you about every single tool and technique that I ever use for 3D modeling in Blender. So if you want to familiarize yourself with the program a little bit better so you can follow these kind of tutorials better, then go check that out. There's a link in the description. Now let's get back to work. Okay, now step number 3, we're going to make our screen. Now, of course, if you're doing this for a client, they're going to give you the screen dimensions. They're going to tell you everything you got to know. But in this situation, let's just pretend that our screen is supposed to have roughly these proportions. So we're going to extrude that backwards. This is going to be the area in which we're going to have our 3D animation take place. By the way, you don't want to delete this surface in the front, you just want to separate it by selection. We're going to bring that over here to the side. This object here has to have some thicker borders, so we're going to press Alt-E, extrude faces along normals, and just push that inwards a little bit like this. When you do this, you also want to check even offset to make sure everything is nice and even, and we're going to reduce that a little bit. And then we need to have a hole over here at the top where the cans are going to fall through. So we're going to go Shift-A, give me a cylinder. We're going to give that cylinder 64 vertices. Scale them up a little bit, select this object down here, add modifier, generate boolean modifier, target the cylinder, apply the modifier, delete the cylinder, and there we go. Now you probably want to make this more like a pipe because we're going to look at it from down here, so we're going to lift this up a little bit. And this is where we have to make our simulation. So we're going to use something called rigid bodies. So a rigid body is when you use a physics simulation on an object, you basically make it behave the way it would in real life. So it can fall down, it can bounce off something, and that's what we're going to do here. So first we want to make this can a little bit smaller. We're going to bring it up here using our 3D cursor. We're going to bring it here to the top of the pipe. And first we're going to make a little test. So select this object down here, go over to your physics settings. This might sound complicated, but this is really easy, guys. Just pay attention and do what I do. You're going to click on a rigid body, and this object just has to be an effector in the rigid body environment. So we don't want this to be affected by gravity. We just want this object to be placed here, and we want it to interact with other objects. So we're going to change the type here from active to passive. That means that it's not going to be animated, it's not affected by forces, but it is going to be able to collide with other objects. And then of course we have to adjust the collision properties, because by default when you create the collision object, the collision box is set to convex hull, which means you basically just draw lines between all the outer points, and that's your collision box. which would mean that now this can is inside the collision box, so it's not going to work. So first on this object we have to change the collision shape from convex hull to mesh. And now if we select this can, we set that to rigid body, we're going to leave that on active. Now you can play your animation from the beginning. You're going to see the can falls down and it bounces off the floor. All we need to do now is duplicate this, so we have a bunch of cans. So we're going to take this can, duplicate it with Shift D, do the same thing one more time, duplicate it as many times as you want. And then once we have a whole bunch of cans, you can play the animation. The cans are going to fall down, and there you go. Of course, we have to play around with their placement a little bit better so that they don't fall out of the scene, so they end up down here in this container. Maybe it would be a better idea to make this more like a funnel, so we do something like this. We extrude it up a little bit, we scale this part up. Of course, this part here is not going to be visible. And then we just place a bunch of cans all over the place up here, so they're all going to fall into the funnel. And the funnel is going to bring them to the middle where they're going to bunch up and end up falling into the scene. So let's just make a few more with Shift D. We're going to duplicate them. And then to prevent our cans from falling out of the scene, we're going to add another collision object in the front here, which is going to be invisible. So in object mode, just go Shift A plane. You're going to rotate that sideways, scale it up. In the physics tab, make sure that's a rigid body as well. Make it passive. And you're going to make that object invisible using your outliner. So now it's there, but we can't see it. And as you can see now, that stops our cans from falling out of the scene. So you might want to play around with this a little bit to make sure it looks right. You might want to add some more cans. You might want to add a different material to this outline here. So maybe I'll add a new material here with a lower roughness, and maybe the outline is going to be blue or green or something like that. And one more thing before we continue, I also want to set up the lighting. So I'm going to go over to my shading tab. I'm going to change this from object to world. Then select the background node. We're going to press Ctrl T. Then next to the background node here with Shift A, we're going to add an environment texture node, which we're going to plug in here. And we're going to have to use something called an HDRI, which is just an image which we wrap around our scene. And that's going to project light into our scene to make it look a little bit more realistic. If you never worked with any HDRIs, you go to Google, type in HDRI. Open up this website called Polyhaven, just find something that you like. You probably want to get a few to test them out to see which one works best, but let's just pick whatever. I'm going to pick something sunny like this one here. We can't get this one, we got to pay for it. I don't want to pay for nothing, so we're going to find another one. Let's go with this one right here. We can download that. And then in Blender, you click on open, you're going to load up the image which we just downloaded. And then once we load that into our scene, if you go to rendered view, you're going to be able to see this image in the environment. Of course, I don't want to see the image, so I'm going to go to render settings. Down here in film, I'm going to check transparent. And there we go. Now we have our scene ready, and next we're going to do the magical anamorphic effect. So the next step is going to be the most important one. Now to turn this into footage which can be used on a screen to make it look like there is the actual 3D anamorphic effect, the first thing you got to do is place your camera into the ideal viewing position. So this is the position from which you want the effect to look the best. So let's say there is going to be a screen somewhere in the city. It's supposed to be targeting people on this particular corner, which is this many meters away at this angle. You have to measure out that distance in real life, convert that into Blender units, and then place your camera there with Blender. Now in this case, we're just doing an exercise. I'm assuming you're just trying to learn this for yourself. If you guys want to do this for real, I can show you an example of how you do this for real with the measurements and everything. I can do that in another video. Just let me know below. Anyway, we place the camera down here, Control Alt 0. Well, we don't got a camera, so we got to add a camera first. With Control Alt 0, we're going to place our camera into this angle, so it's going to look something like this. And the first thing we have to do is render this image. So you're going to go up here to render image. This is just going to be a little test. So now you can go up here to image save as, so you can save this to your desktop or something. And this screen that we had over here on the side, we're now going to bring that back to where it was originally. And now we have to map this texture onto the screen. So you're going to take this plane right here, you're going to go over to the shading tab, add a new material. In this tab, you're going to load in the image which we just rendered. So throw that in there by just dragging and dropping it, plug color into color. If you go to your camera view with 0 now, you're going to see it probably looks like shit. That's because we have to map it properly. Now mapping this is where you got to use a slightly different strategy. You can't just UV map it the same way you would map anything else. Instead, you have to go to the modifiers tab, add modifier, go to edit and click on UV project. You have to make sure to UV unwrap this. So you unwrap, select that UV map here in the settings, and as the object you're going to target your camera, and then we just have to adjust the aspect ratio to the aspect ratio of the camera. So you can just put in your resolution here, mine is 1920 by 1080, that's the default, so it's probably the same for you. As you can see now, this plane contains the part of the image which is supposed to be displayed here. And by the way, for some reason this works better if we subdivide it into a bunch of little squares. especially if you have a curved screen or something like that. You always want to subdivide this. Anyway, now we check to make sure that this works. Now we can render out the entire animation. So we go to frame 0 now, and we're going to go out here to the output properties, pick a folder where you want to render this animation. I got my folder right here just for this project, so we're going to name that whatever. Yeah, normally you want to render this as a PNG sequence, but I don't have time for that shit right now. I just want to render this as a simple MP4 file. So the media type is going to be video. In the encoding section, the container is going to be MPEG-4. In the video section, the video codec is going to be H.264. Just copy the settings that I got here. This is the easiest solution. In the render settings, the number of samples is going to be 128. Make sure to check denoise. Make sure to activate your GPU down here. Make sure that you're in cycles because it's going to look much better. And then before you hit render, make sure you play your timeline from the beginning just to buffer the simulation. So you're going to have to wait a little bit for that to happen, especially if you got a shitty computer. And then once your simulation is ready, now you just go up here and click on render animation. You're going to have to wait for that a little bit. And then once you render the animation out, the rest is pretty simple now. You just got to go back here to the shader editor where you had your single frame before. So we're talking about the material for this flat screen, and you're going to get rid of the image which you had here before, and you're going to load in the MP4 file which we just rendered. So you click on open here, find that video file. It's going to change this node a little bit, but all you got to do is crank up the frames to the number of frames you have in the animation. So for us that's like 400. Check cyclic or cyclic or whatever the fuck. Check auto refresh, and now if you play this animation, you're going to be able to see this footage playing on the screen. You might want to go over to your scene properties and scroll down and uncheck rigid body so you stop the simulation from happening in the background and slowing down your scene. But now you just select the screen, you go to modifiers, you apply the UV project node. You can now move this to the side, and now we just have to convert this flat image into a file which we can send to our client. Of course, we're going to go to material properties first, go down here to specular, reduce the specularity to 0. The quality is a little bit shitty. We should have done a higher resolution. But anyway, now you go to side view like this, you press Ctrl Alt 0. You're going to select your camera, and in the camera settings you're going to change the type from perspective to orthographic, and maybe you want to use your 3D cursor to snap the camera to the middle of the screen and then just pull that back a little bit. So you're going to adjust the orthographic scale until it perfectly matches the width of the screen. Then you go to output properties, you increase the Y resolution. This part is a little bit messed up, so you're going to have to play around with it a little bit until you get it right. By the way guys, there's got to be a better way to produce a file from the texture displayed on this flat surface. I just don't know how to do that. It would basically be like baking a video, but I don't know how to do that shit. I haven't figured it out yet. I already asked many times before, nobody has the answer to that question. So I just place my camera in front of the screen and I render that out. It sounds like a lame way to do it, and it kind of is, but usually it works well enough. So in your shader editor, you might want to make this glow by plugging the animation here into the emission color and then turning up the strength to 1, and now you can just render this one more time. This is going to be your final deliverable output, so make sure you render this as a separate file. We're going to name that file final or whatever, and you can just render that in Eevee because it's going to be much faster. You don't need cycles for this. So then you just render animation, and that's going to give you the file which you can give to your client, which they can play on the screen, and that's all there is to it. Now guys, let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. I'm also probably going to make some more videos about this subject, so if you got any requests or any ideas that you want me to make, you can send me a message on Instagram, which is going to be like a suggestion for the next video. Also make sure to check out the Blender Masterclass course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know down below what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one.